More U.S. adults age 45 and older are feeling lonely, according to an AARP study. The survey, published Wednesday, found that 40% of respondents said they felt lonely. In 2010 2018, 35% of respondents reported such feelings. More men reported feeling lonely than women, big shock, 42% to 37%. And the study found a negative correlation between loneliness and age, higher education, and household income. Those who reported experiencing loneliness averaged spending 7.3 hours alone per day, while the overall 45 plus population averaged 5.6 hours of solitude. Nearly a quarter of the lonely adults were interested in connecting with companions generated by AI, according to the poll. The study recommended, though, that basic social connections, such as reaching out to a friend, being active in your community, and starting a conversation, can help. Major life changes, retirement, children moving away, or the loss of loved ones, are common triggers for loneliness. I can attest to that. The AARP researchers wrote. The difference between lonely and non lonely adults often lies in how relationships are managed during these transitions. In 2023, former Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy declared a loneliness epidemic in the U.S. Murthy noted at the time that the feeling associated with a greater risk of health issues such as cardiovascular disease, dementia, and depression. The former Surgeon General added that many of us felt lonely or isolated in a way we had never experienced before during the COVID pandemic and called for, among other policy objectives, strengthened social infrastructure and communication, including religious and sports groups, volunteer programs, and green spaces. The Hill has reached out to the Department of Health and Human Services for comments on the study. AARP surveyed 3,276 U.S. residents 45 and older in English and Spanish from August 4th to 19th. The researchers oversampled African American, Hispanic, Asian American, and Pacific Islander veteran and LGBTQ plus adults. The margin of error is 1.8%. Well, like I feel most people could probably just guess off the bat, more men feel lonely than women, although it's a smaller number than I probably would have thought, less than 6 points. Um, you know, I have this, and I get into it in the video I'm doing or working on, but I have this one relative who would always try to, because like if I'm very upfront when it comes to things that bother me, and I will mention, just like the article mentions, the loss of a loved one can be one of those like triggers to make someone more lonely and whatnot, and that's certainly, again, it's something that I know is the case. But this relative was like, "Oh, you never know what life has in store," and basically, when people can't give a valid rebuttal to a person's depression or feelings of just isolation, they will go into these platitudes of this nebulous year in which things are suddenly magically going to change. And I just, that plays again a big part in why I can't be as open with those in real life, because they're not able to tell when it's time to just listen to someone, and that a lot of the stuff they're suggesting simply doesn't work. The whole loss of loved one thing didn't start 6 months ago or a year. This is something that's gone on for over 8 years, and has only gotten bigger and worse with more and more deaths. And when I see people right in these older age brackets still feeling loneliness at a pretty large degree. I mean, if you're talking about almost like, think about this. If you go to the US and see a guy who's 45 and up, there's there's a 2 out of 5 chance that he is lonely. And again, 40 plus is not some kid, that's middle aged. For a lot, and I hate saying this because I am someone that thinks about their own mortality. Um, a lot I'm forgetting the average age of death for people in the U.S., but the life expectancy rate. But just as an example, I have had multiple relatives that have died in their mid 70s. So by the time you're in your mid 40s, you have lived over half of your life. And if you're still not content with your day-to-day routine, I just I mean, again, I hate to say this because I don't like telling people just give up, but this is why I did what Not My Fate, that video, where I just said, I made a point of saying, if I were to reach a certain age, or and still feel the way I do now, I wouldn't want to live anymore. I'm upfront about that. If things are never going to improve, and for some of this stuff I truly believe it will not, then why bother? So when they mention having starting conversations and these different group gatherings, well, I don't necessarily have any issue with those suggestions, but the problem is that so many people, like even some of the older ones, spend a lot of time on these damn computers. I go to the library with great frequency, and it's like that's a place where obviously people are coming to study and they're going to be quiet and whatnot. But even in a lot of other public spaces I've gone to, like that mall I was going there in some cases several times a week, up until they told me that, oh my God, you've been sitting here too long. And a lot of people would just sit in their little space staring at their phone, and it was like the most craziest thing to think about, how when they go home they're gonna stare at their phone. When they go in a public space, they're not gonna talk to people, they're gonna stare at their phone. So it seems like even if there's some part of them that wants that, you know, accompanying of someone else, or to get out of that supposed loneliness, they're not going to uh, do the things necessary to start up a conversation. And man, to think about people spending an average of 7 hours a day by themselves, I mean, that's, we go to sleep for what, 8 hours a day? So that's about half of your day is just you alone. And then the other half, maybe you're at work, maybe you're running some errands, but I just want to go back to one of the other, we'll close this out soon, just one of the other things they mentioned, because I find it interesting. But the major life changes of retirement, I know that's definitely a factor, where there are a lot of people who, once they aren't working anymore, which damn near seems impossible to think in this damn economy where everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, or majority of Americans are, they have no purpose. They don't have that routine that they had, where they saw all their coworkers every day, is suddenly shifted, and they're spending a lot more time by themselves. Um, I mean, children moving away is a factor. There are some parents that don't do anything with their kids, so them not being around that much isn't really, a big shock. Uh, but that loss of loved ones, man, that one. I mean, I always try to give previews of just because I don't want to get too descriptive with stuff. But if you live with people for years, and even before you lived with them, you saw them every single week. Sometimes you called them as well. And on top of that, you have this one person that you call every single day, ask them how they're doing. It could be a short call for like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Point is, you're talking about two people you live with, and one person you still are in very frequent contact with, and they all die in a 5 year period. I think that will mess you up. I think for some people that can destroy them. It certainly has played a very big role in my ever-present, never-ending disillusion with how things are, along with the crappy job market and the garbage that you get from these modern women, and just all the different factors that kind of collide together to really make me not feel ashamed to admit that, again, if this is as good as things are going to stay, that are going to be, then what's this loneliness rising among Americans 45 and older? I wouldn't even want to live to be 45 if again, if this is how things are going to remain. And they are not showing signs of changing. If anything, the job market's gotten worse. Uh, I mean, we don't even have to get into the relationship stuff. We know that's a crash and burn. But yeah, I empathize with people that want to do things with others and who have made attempts to do it, to be involved with others, because it's hard to just get people who actually in real life want to hang out, want to do stuff. It's not easy. And some of it is, brought on. I don't know. I guess I've always been of the belief that if someone is open to all types of different things, and they still can't meet someone to just, hey, let's go see a movie. Hey, let me call you tonight. That seems more like a failure of the people around them than them. Because it's one thing if someone just is like, oh man, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just gonna sit in my, car for the rest of today. But if you're going out and hey, I want to see this movie. Want to see it with me? And they say no. Oh, you guys want to go for a walk on the park? No. Oh, can I call you? No. It's like, all right, well, to hell with it. That's the way I feel. Where there have been multiple attempts to have things with people in real life, but they don't care. Everybody just wants to stare at their damn phone and computer for the rest of eternity. So I don't begrudge anyone for being for the feelings that they have or being sick of this. I know I am.